Yeah. Well, I was good until those hiccups came back. I hate hiccups so much. God damn it. This is going to make it so hard to stream. Because I'm literally going to be hiccuping every 5 fucking seconds for the next half hour. That's just how it goes for me. I'm one of those people that just gets hiccups all the time. Not all the time, but from what I can tell, hiccups seems to be pretty rare in adults, but I feel like I have them all the time. Oh my god. It's at least a once a week occurrence. It makes me wonder if there's something wrong with my vagus nerve. Oh god. Ay, 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 ay. Get a mouthful of water, stand up, bend. Okay, I'll try it. Fuck it. Can't hurt, right? Okay. Milk. That didn't work. That didn't work fucking at all. Yeah, I'm fine. I just have fucking hiccups and they won't fucking leave me alone. What's up, Shrimp? God, I hate this shit so fucking bad. I literally feel like there's no point in talking about anything because it's just not, like, I can't get through a fucking 10-word sentence without hiccuping, so. You have to stand up and breathe very slowly in and out. And man, everybody has their own little fucking home remedy for how to get rid of hiccups, and none of them work for me. The one thing that worked earlier was taking a very long drink of water, but I really don't have that much fucking tea left in here, so really not trying to take a big, gallon swig. Dude, I'll try it, but I'm just telling you, it's not going to work. Yeah, see, it's not working. I give a fuck. Whatever. I'm just gonna pretend like it's not happening. Probably gonna fall asleep listening to stream tonight. Was hella busy because of God, I'm blind as a fucking bat, man. Motherfucker. Right on. Hey, that's fine. What do you do, man? Whatever you gotta do. Hiccups could make for a unique sell as a streamer, I guess. I fucking hate them though, dude, because they're actually kind of painful. Like, I don't know if this is the case for everybody, but when I get hiccups and they don't go away after a few seconds, it starts to hurt after a while. And I'll get hiccups that don't go away for hours. And I just have to hope this is not one of those times. But whatever. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want the whole fucking stream to be talking about my hiccups. Man, it is so retarded that we have this reflex because it is entirely pointless. There is nothing, there's no physical condition that endangers human life that causes hiccups, so there's nothing for it to even attempt to try and fix. And none of the methods for dealing with it work. I've been a bit saddened this week. I recently learned that Neil Gaiman might have been sexually assaulting people for the past few years. Yeah, I've been hearing about that shit too, and I haven't read anything about it because to be completely fucking honest with you, I grow weary of all the sex scandals and fucking. I just pretty much assume, and maybe this is wrong of me, but I pretty much just assume that any creative, uh, you know, any creative with enough talent and drive or whatever the fuck that is able to get that successful is probably assaulting people. It's just like at this rate, it's starting to seem like it's more common than not. So, genuinely sad to hear it. I respected Neil Gaiman as an author. You can still respect him as an author. You just don't have to like him as a human being. You know. Um, tried fucking taking a big old swig of water. That didn't help either. God damn it. I want to. Oh my god, man. I know I said I didn't want to make the whole stream about my hiccups, but the fact that they started literally 3 minutes into the stream pisses me off so bad. God, it's just fucking. God, man, I'm pissed. I'm really angry right now because I've literally fucking been dealing with them all fucking day since like 2 hours after I woke up. And here we are at the end of the fucking day and I still have motherfucking hiccups. I've had maybe 4 hours today where I didn't have hiccups. It's fucking retarded. It's fucking retarded. I don't even have any beer. Even if I could, I don't have any. I mean, I guess I could if I had some, but I don't. Honestly, it feels like what I need to do is throw up. Maybe that sounds wrong or counterproductive, but man, if it doesn't feel like that to me, it feels like that cures fucking hiccups. I definitely won't be supporting him financially. It's one thing to separate the art from the artist, but if that person can still benefit from support, it makes me leery. Yeah, I understand that. That's fair enough, I suppose. I gotta deal with this. I can't. I can't fucking sit here all night hiccuping. So I'm gonna fucking walk around and see what I can fucking see what I can do to resolve this situation. I think they are finally fucking done with. I guess there's no way to be sure until I sit down, but as of right now, I'm going to assume that I'm good. I basically had to make myself throw up in order to deal with it. And then I replaced all the space in my stomach with water. And literally just chugged water until I felt my stomach was full. And I felt a burp. Oh. Now, maybe we can have a fucking conversation. I feel like the world, once again, blind as a bat. I like the work of H.P. Lovecraft, but he has long since died. He can't benefit from any support I give his properties. 2 cats. Yes, we do have 2. The Phoebe Show will return after these messages. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Yeah, I just had to take a commercial break, aka, make myself fucking gag so that I could get rid of those hiccups. And yeah, I'm okay. I just had, you can, if you go back and rewatch the stream, like, go back 5 minutes and you'll see me hiccuping and starting to, like, rage out because they just won't leave me alone. I've probably doomed the fucking success of this stream because of that shit, which is why it was pissing me off, because all I could think is, dude, I am sitting here hemorrhaging viewers while I have this coughing fit that's making it impossible for me to respond to the people in my chat. But yeah, I'm fine now. You kind of awesome. If people won't support you, I will. Well, thanks, friend. I don't know. People... Sorry. People are generally, I would say, like, well, okay. People are generally pretty bigoted in the chat, but I would say about 40% of people are some variation of supportive. They might be supportive with questions or supportive in general. They might be supportive without questions. But, I would say there's a good, 40% of people in the chat that are usually supportive. There's definitely a good majority of people who are bigoted, but I don't feel like it's enough people for it to be... It's not something that really worries me all that much, but I do appreciate the sentiment a lot, so thank you. This whole time I was subscribed to you? That's cool. That's dope. Well, look at that. Maybe you found, maybe you originally subscribed to my channel because of an old video of mine. Like if you're saying that you've been subscribed for a long time and you don't remember subscribing, there's a good chance, because I didn't come out as trans until like 5 years ago. So there's a good chance that if you watched one of my videos in 2018 or 2019 or 2017 when I first started uploading, I'm sure I've got some legacy subscribers from that time that probably don't recognize me when they come back to the stream. I didn't remember, but this is awesome. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. It's really strange to me that nobody is... there's 43 people in here, and there's like 2 people in chat right now. What's with that? Come on, guys. Does nobody else wants to talk? I'm just kidding. It can be a one-way call. It can be a two-way conversation. That's fine. But just know that you guys are welcome, you know. I'm honestly shocked there haven't been more Christian bashers coming in with the first 15 minutes. That has been weird about this stream, right? Because normally that's a huge preponderance of the audience in here, right? I mean, Merrick, you're here enough to know that for a fucking fact. There's a huge preponderance of, like, alt-right and, so there's, like, alt-right people that'll come in here talking shit. There's super far-right evangelical Christian types that'll come in talking shit. There's just general Christian types that are evangelical as fuck coming in here talking shit. And that doesn't seem to be as big a thing today, for whatever reason. Not that I'm complaining. It could mean that we just have a more intelligent conversation today. But we'll see. Can you see your vape? Yeah? What? What kind of fucking question is that? By the way, there's 72 people in here right now. Make sure all of you are double tapping your screen right this second so that you like the stream, because that will help even more people see this stream. And make sure you hit the subscribe button and that little alert bell so that you can get more of these in the future, because they're fun. And they're even more fun if we've got a big, large community to contribute to the conversation here in the chat. Ah, nice. I'm seeing the likes go up. I'm seeing the likes go up. Come on, hit me with it. Hit me with it. Come on. Come on. You guys are directly responsible for the maintenance of my ego right now, okay? You have a beautiful cat? They are beautiful. Come here. Kitty. Come here. Come here. Come here. Mr. Beans will come here. Mr. Beans, come here. There we go. Look at him. Oh, there he goes. If you can, I'll like all your vids. I will be right back. Can you stream tomorrow? I don't know why I gave you a random accent for that, but yeah, I probably will stream tomorrow. But I do work tomorrow, so who knows? Well, I mean, I work today, but I work night shift tomorrow, so that might affect the timing of the streams a little bit. Wow, there's 97 people in here, but there's only 7 likes. Come on, keep hitting them. Please. What do I do for work? I work at a fast food restaurant. It's I'm not going to say what it is because I've already said, like, the general kind of vague area of the world that I live in. But it's suffice to say that it's a fast food restaurant. It's a pretty popular one. Major chain. If I said the name, it would be super recognizable. And if you look at some of my earlier streams, you can figure it out. There's a couple where I'm streaming literally minutes before I go into work, and I've got my uniform on and everything. So, but yeah, I don't talk about it like super openly, just because it's not wise to do so. No skill, bad, random. Are those all just random words? Did I just get tricked into reading a bot comment? Is that like an Aegon Chalakian comment? Is that like meaningless? It's gotta be. It's gotta be. Down to 6 likes. There's 106 people in here. How are there not at least 50 likes? No, I'm just kidding. I don't expect 50. Come on now. 6? That just doesn't make any sense. Are you Christian? I was raised Christian. I was raised in the Pentecostal church and was a pretty active member in that church as a kid. I went to Sunday services all the way up until I was about 13 years old, and that's when I stopped going to church. The main reason I stopped going to church was because I raised the issue of existentialism with my mom. She was asking me how I felt about going to church and everything. I guess because I was getting up to that age where I could start making actually meaningful decisions on the topic, where I could start having my own sorts of thoughts about it. And she asked, and I said, well, honestly, Mom, I really don't like going to church because I feel like a lot of the ideas that we talk about are really scary. And she was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, Brother Steve is always... There we go, talking my fucking preacher's name. Well, he's been dead for years, so it probably doesn't even matter. Anyway, well, yeah, I mean, Brother Steve is always talking about how if you don't if you don't repent and receive the Holy Ghost and live as Jesus did, then you're going to go to hell. And hell is this horrible place, and you're on fire all the time, and there's a big lake of fire. And I said I was horrified of it. And she said, well, you can decide if you want to go to church or not at this age in your life. If you don't want to go to church, you can stay here at the house. You don't have to go over there on the weekends if you don't want to. We can make it work. And I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know if I want to stop just yet, but honestly, I only made it a few more church services after that. And once my mom saw me have my little breakdown, the first breakdown I ever had about an existential problem happened when I was probably 11 years old, because I started realizing eternity is a scary fucking thing. It's presented as this joyful fucking concept in Christianity, but to me that makes absolutely no motherfucking sense, because eternity means you get to watch all of your fucking friends, all your coworkers, all your neighbors, you get to watch them die through the ages. You get to watch your country decay through the ages. You get to watch everything you know and love die off the longer your fucking eternity goes on. And so I started thinking about that. And I started thinking about how it's not really a good fantasy no matter how you fucking spin it. So let's say you're in hell for eternity. Oh, fuck. You're getting tortured for eternity. And it never ends. There's no fucking expiration date that you can look at and say, okay, well, at least I've only got till that long before all this shit is over. No, it's eternal. It never ends. It's worse than Guantanamo Bay, because at least prisoners in Gitmo, at least they die eventually. So, not preferable from the perspective of someone in hell. Okay, so what about someone in heaven? Well, eternity in heaven means that you get to watch your children die and then join you in heaven if they did the right thing, but then you get to watch them be tortured if you choose to drop in on the denizens of hell, should they choose to make the wrong choices in their lives. And this is all without any of you having prior knowledge for sure that this is really the way things were going to go down. And that the weight of that decision started to fuck with me. Not just that decision, but the weight of that fucking concept started to weigh down on me like a brick, like a giant fucking anchor around my neck. And I had this crying breakdown where I was just like, I don't want to go to heaven. I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to live forever. It just sounds horrifying. Because, like, what happens? You live to the heat death of the universe? It's like, I was a smart kid who was being taught science alongside, going to church on Sundays. And ultimately, I'm so fucking thankful for the little speech that my mom gave me, where she was like, hey, kid, if you don't want to go to church, you don't have to. And she'd never made me, because she was forced to attend religious, religious ceremonies, I guess, and religious attendance. She was forced to engage in that sort of thing when she was a kid. And so she did not put that on me, because she didn't want any other kid to ever have to be exposed to that sort of obligation coming from their parent. And that sort of obligation that brings upon them this sort of existential dread that she used to experience and that she started to detect in me. And so she gave me permission, basically, to feel how I wanted to feel, to be who I wanted to be, and to ultimately make my own decision when it came to the religion that I ended up encompassing and following. By the way, there are 148 people in here. Make sure you're liking the stream. Make sure you are subscribing. And remember, you like so that other people can find the stream, because that helps the algorithm a whole lot. And you subscribe so that you can see more of these in the future. And make sure you hit that little alert bell. Anyway, someone is not going to heaven, am I right? Thank fucking God. Not going to heaven, not going to hell. Well, I guess that this song has sealed my own fate. Lucifer won't take me, ain't passing through no pearly gates. But if either one exists, well, that's fine by me. I will gladly spend the afterlife waiting in purgatory. You will go to hell if you haven't repeated. Here, I can repeat for you. Repeat. I did it. Ugly? Not as ugly as your mom. I was fucking that fat bitch last night, and she was like the ugliest whore I've ever met in my life. Damn, I know, huh? I know, right? Don't want the heat. Don't come with it. You're a product of your surroundings. If you have a dysfunctional upbringing, it tends to make you a dysfunctional adult. Yeah. What does that have to do with the price of rice in China, though? We were just talking about the implications of religious belief. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Are you under the impression that I'm a dysfunctional adult? Because if so, I would say probably not much more dysfunctional than anybody else. I work a job, I have a family, I drive safely, I'm not on drugs, like what else is there to be functional, Hey, I want to tell you something. God loves, but you won't go to heaven. Okay, I can't even read that. Literally incomprehensible. Literally incomprehensible. What are the implications of religious beliefs? Well, that entirely depends on the religious belief, right? There's not a whole lot of implications as far as eternity or deeper philosophy made by some religions. Some religions kind of leave that up to you to decide. And then other religions rigidly structure the expectation of philosophy and morality within them, right? A couple examples of this. Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, especially Orthodox Judaism, really only Orthodox Judaism, institute and require very strict senses of morality and philosophy to be observed by people who claim to be members of those religions. And they also bring they bring to a believer's mind an entirely new framework of looking at the world that they wouldn't have had they never been exposed to that religion. And so the implication differs. For me, the implication as a child growing up in a Pentecostal household, well, no, I wasn't really a Pentecostal household. My parents were not religious, but my grandmother was. And my dad, having been raised Christian, thought, and I think he still fancies him. Well, no, I know for a fact he still identifies as a Christian, but he's definitely not the church-going, organized religion type that I would associate with the modern Christian church, for sure. And, fuck, what was I talking about? But, oh yeah, so he considered it important for me to go to church every Sunday like he did when he was a kid. And so me and my sister both went to church every Sunday until, like I said, until I was about 12 or 13, at which point my mom had already told him, like, I'm not going to make her go to church after a certain age. Like, if they don't want to go to church at that point, that's up to them. And, I'm really glad she made that decision because that allowed me to express myself more fully. And more importantly, it allowed me to escape the most crushing existential fucking crisis that I'd ever met in my life. And it really took me a long time to divorce myself from the ideas that Christianity baked into my head. It's really only been in the last 5 years that I finally managed to purge most of that type of thinking, most of that impulse from my mind. At this point, it's not really something that bothers me a whole lot. I don't spend all my day thinking about how horrifying it would be to end up going to hell or to end up going to heaven. But that's a fairly recent development in my life if you consider the fact that I'll be 27 this year, My pastor passed away last fall. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope he was a good man, and I hope he led his flock well, and, was not representative of the problems that I'm talking about. Oh my God, dude, Addie, all caps are not a good way to get around over here. I'm just letting you know. I will read this paragraph, but this is not, like, you get read or you don't around here. I don't give people special attention. I told her I'd read it, so I'll read it. All I'm saying is all the Christians in here want you to go to heaven. We don't want you to suffer. And yeah, see, this is the problem I have, right? Christians are not okay with just talking about the religion with a secular person in a philosophical way. And this pisses me off, dude. And it's not all Christians, but I feel like there is such a preponderance of Christians in this country who are completely unwilling and incapable of having a philosophical conversation about the fucking faith they base their whole lives around. They literally cannot talk about it in any sort of philosophical way. They cannot have a deeper discussion about it. They can be told about it and they can tell other people about it, but they can't actually discuss the ideas therein unless you're a believer. And even then, the relationship only fucking works and doesn't devolve into fighting if one of the people in that conversation has authority over the other. Two Christians on equal footing fucking start talking about religion and it fucking becomes a fist fight. Unless they're from the same fucking church. What the fuck? I walk away to cook a bit and return to total Christian dribble. I know, dude. Merrick, you fucking jinxed it. You fucking jinxed it. You remember what I was saying about how normally the Christian bigots are just not, like, normally they're fucking all up in the chat and that's the main people we're having to deal with. And earlier we didn't have any of them to deal with and now that's all that's in the chat. I'm telling you, man, you jinxed it. No, don't be bad. Like, hey, this is great for views. I'm sitting at 127 people right now. I ain't bitching. I ain't bitching. What's the flag behind you? It is the flag of Transylvania. Christianity is a grooming organization built on mass graves and torture. It's even worse than that, if you can believe it. There's almost not language sufficient to talk about how evil Christianity is, if we're being completely fucking frank. I don't know that there is sufficient language. It's like that. It's like that quote in Lord of the Rings where Fangorn, Treebeard, is looking at the destruction of so much of his forest, and he says, "There are no curses in." He's like, "There are no curses in Entish, Elvish, or the language of man sufficient for this destruction," or something like that. And that's kind of how I feel about this situation, you know? Like that, like when it comes to the evil of Christianity, that fucking organization, the overarching fucking concept has done so much fucking damage on this planet. It's hard to quantify with words. Free Palestine? I agree with that. Free Palestine. Free Palestine, if for no other reason than to piss off the fucking dumbass Christians in this country that all think Jesus is going to come back just as long as Israel secures the West Bank. Retarded shit. By the way, there's 130 people in here right now. Make sure you're liking the stream with a double tap on your screen or the little like button to the upper right of the column. And if you haven't been here before, make sure you subscribe so you can catch more of these conversations in the future. Despite the vitriol I might be engaging some of you with, I actually enjoy having these sorts of conversations quite a bit. I do them pretty regularly, about once a night, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. But I'd love to have all of you again for another discussion sometimes in the near future. Just make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so that you're alerted to new streams as they happen. Who hurt you, dog? Your mom was hurting me pretty fucking bad last night when she was riding me. I mean, that fat bitch just has no concept of her own weight. I respect that you're not putting people down for their beliefs and stating your opinion on the topic. Well, yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, my problem is not with individual Christians. My problem was with the fucking idea. The fucking idea is what's evil. The fucking idea is what's wrong. And not the people who engage in it. Because honestly, there is so much nuance in the conversation of, like, who is a Christian, what makes someone become a Christian. That is a very fucking nuanced and complex topic. And frankly, we're not gonna... I don't know that we could properly encapsulate it even if we kept talking about it for the next hour, and I'd probably drop down to like 17 viewers. So, you know, like, my problem is not with Christians. My problem is with Christianity. Now, I do have a problem with certain types of Christians, but ultimately, I recognize that those types of Christians exist because of the fucking belief system that they adhere to and insist upon spreading across the entire world, right? That's my problem with Christians, right? It's got less to do with their personal belief in something and more to do with their conduct. Another problem I have with modern Christendom is if you read the message of Christ, if you read what Jesus Christ was writing about in the Bible, or what was written about him rather, it's very clear that Jesus was a dude who was about uplifting the poor. Jesus was a dude who was about clothing the naked. Jesus was a dude who was about feeding the hungry, right? Those are the fucking ethical axioms of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was a dude with sound morals that believed in the divine nature of good works, basically. And I don't see that reflected in modern Christendom, right? When I look around at the modern church, whether you're talking about the Catholic Church, whether you're talking about Protestant churches, I see a shit ton of hypocrisy, which is not something that you're supposed to see out of a Christian. The hypocrites are supposed to be the ones that Christians are supposed to avoid. They're supposed to rise above that by not being part of that fray, and they engage in all of the fucking shit that the Bible tells you not to engage in lest you be like a hypocrite. But they don't care, right? They are the ultimate hypocrites, and that is something that, once again, I don't necessarily just fault the people for it. Now, I do think the people are a little bit at fault. Like, you cannot separate the fact that human beings are having to choose to uphold these systems, some of them, even after learning how exploitative they are and the true nature of the psychology behind them. And people like that, I do have some condemnation for, right? But ultimately, no matter what regressive thing Christians are doing, a lot of them are just kind of being swept along in a fray of people. A lot of them are just being swept along on a sweeping bed of social change. Do you go to church? No. No, but I used to. You're right there, but the heightened political scene has made everybody go against the LGBT and trans people. Really, the political system working with the churches to cause all this chaos. Well, yeah. I mean, here's the fucking thing. Yes, it is the political class working with the churches to keep this going, but I think it's important that we recognize why all this transphobia is being stirred up. It's not organic. It's not just rising fucking out of the ether, out of the churches, right? It's not like Christians have suddenly decided they care a whole lot about trans people. What has happened is that a few politicians and a few religious leaders attacked trans people during the nascent days of the most recent kind of uptick in support for trans people that kind of began around 2015. That rhetoric was kind of sampled out, right? And for the first time in probably 10 or 15 years, it played well to a certain audience, mostly what we now call the maggots, right? So once they figured out that that played well with that crowd, they kept using the rhetoric, because ultimately that's all it is rhetoric. Ultimately, the people in power will use any fucking thing, anything, to divide and conquer the people. That is the fucking prerogative of people who have political and economic power. So whatever issue, whatever little pet issue we're all being made to feel so fucking super strongly about, very seldom does it actually track to something in the real world that we need to be worried about. I'll give you a perfect example. People are always talking about trans people wanting to convert kids, and the truth of it is that it's already like an incredibly fucking complex and difficult thing to get a trans kid on puberty blockers, let alone any other kind of treatment, because it's recognized that you really don't want to do something life-changing like that until a person is old enough to be 100% sure that that is the direction that they're gonna go, right? But even puberty blockers, which are shown to not, they don't have some big deleterious effect on the people who take them. It's not like it ruins the rest of their life or anything like that. Despite that, it is still a difficult and arduous process just to get a trans kid or a kid that believes that they're trans. It is so hard to get them even that level of treatment. So the idea that there is some massive sweep of trans people converting kids to be trans is just a completely made up, bogus notion. People will say, "Oh, well, I mean, you're like converting kids just by existing out in the world, dressing like you do and everything." It's like, you're just using the same fucking argument that people used against gay people. And most of these people will say they don't have any problem with gay people, but why do these trans people have to exist? Ultimately, all of these arguments are just rehashed bullshit targeting a different group, because it's not based on anything logical or reasonable. It's based on the fact that it's popular with a certain fucking group of people. The fact that those people can reliably be made to vote on that issue that has nothing to do with their wages, grocery prices, rent prices, or healthcare. They don't want you voting on those 4 issues. They want you voting on whether I have the right to wear a dress or not. They want you voting on whether your Mexican neighbor has a right to work or not. They want you voting on whether gay people have the right to get married or not. They want you voting on whether women have the right to receive an abortion if they want. They don't want you voting on any sort of economic issue, because that's what they actually give a fuck about. They don't give a shit how you feel about abortion, because the richest people in the country have always been able to get abortions. A prohibition on abortion is really just making abortion super expensive. And this is just a well-known fucking fact that most people will admit behind closed doors. It's just kind of a well-known fact that if you're a rich person in a prohibition state, you will be able to get an abortion. And you probably won't have to leave the state to do it. And that's how it's always been. That's how it's always going to be. So they don't give a shit. It doesn't affect them. It's a non-issue for them. They don't give a shit how we vote on that, but they want us giving a shit about it. They want us giving a shit about it so that it becomes so that we never fucking elect someone who's progressive and might actually fucking attack some of these economic problems. They don't want that shit touched with a 10-foot pole. They want you voting on social issues. And that's coming from a leftist, by the way. That's coming from a leftist who believes that trans people have rights, that believes that Mexican people have every right to work and live in the United States if they should so choose to migrate here. It's coming from a leftist, and I'm telling you, you're being manipulated. Just like a lot of people on my side of politics are right now, with the same exact type of rhetoric, just from the other direction. So if you're going around right now cheerleading about all the shit Trump's doing to trans people, what you should really be doing is getting angry at Trump for completely dropping the no taxes on tips thing. You should be getting angry at Trump for completely dropping the no tax on overtime thing. Rather than cheering Trump on for deporting a bunch of Mexicans, why are we not all angry at Trump for not getting rid of NAFTA? Why are we not all angry at Trump? Not we, but why are because I don't agree with this one, but why are conservatives who are going around talking up Trump's big tax plan, why aren't they all angry that he's not keeping up with it at this point? Good question, right? Really makes you wonder, huh? I'm just saying, if you're going around worried about social issues right now, if you're worried about trans people and Mexican people and all this culture war bullshit, You're being manipulated. You're being played like a fiddle. And that's exactly where they want you. They want you uneducated, distracted, angry, scared, but they don't want you standing in solidarity with a person like me. Even though I would stand in solidarity with one of you guys, MAGA hat and all. We could stand in a protest line as siblings. I would do it. I would do it. Would you? If the answer is no, ask yourself if that's because you have been manipulated into believing that I'm the worst thing that has ever happened to society. When the truth is that the worst thing that's happened in the last fucking, 50 years might be NAFTA. Just saying. Phoebe, what is your political/economic standing? Specifically, I want to know where you're coming from, where you're drawing from. I would consider myself a labor leftist, maybe a post-leftist. I think I'm an anarchist in the long term and a social democrat in the very near term, if that makes sense. I think human beings are ultimately capable of living cheek by jowl and living in communities, living in rural areas, living in general, without the influence of gun thugs making everything work, right? I don't think human beings have to have government for our societies to function. I think that this generation probably does. My generation, probably the one that I'm raising right now, the one, any parent right now with kids is raising, right? That, like, these generations, yes. Right now, yeah, they have to have, because that's the system that exists right now. But I think human beings are capable of doing better. I think we're capable of self-organizing in a way and taking back power in a way that enables us to rid ourselves, ultimately, of the administrative class, the bourgeoisie, the ownership class, whatever you want to call them, the employer class, as the IWW puts it. I think we have the power to do this. I think we've got the skills to do this. And in fact, it's obvious that we've got the skills to do this. After all, it's not CEOs who design the websites, it's software engineers. It's not CEOs who design the food, it's food scientists. It's not CEOs who drive the trucks, it's truckers. It's not CEOs who work the mills and repair industrial equipment, that's millwrights. It's not CEOs and owner motherfuckers that are out there plumbing buildings. That's the plumbers union. You know what I mean? Like, it's workers who run the world already. That's already the state that we're in. We just don't run the world, if that makes sense. We make the world run, but we don't run the world yet. In my opinion, the reason for that is because America has been allowed to become way too much of a hegemon in this planet, and we have not been significantly opposed by any armed force in the last, 50 years. And that has made us, that has made many kind of like super neoconservative type people in America more bold than I think they otherwise would have been. I think our track record over the last 60 years kind of put us into a position where the authoritarians in our midst have been able to pretty reliably squash any sort of workers' movement that can rise up in this country. But I think the time is drawing near. I think the economic unrest that is constantly unfolding, eggs being $5 a dozen, I think all of this points towards a society that is getting ready to shed its chains, or to at least make a valid attempt. Panda Man is right. I'm not a man, but that is hilarious. Who cut them bangs? My dumbass. I'm terrible at it. But to be fair, I haven't combed them today either, so. You're a real one? Well, thanks. But yeah, long story short, I believe in the ownership of the working class. over the means of production, and I think that that can be achieved over the long term. I think in the short term, there's a few things we have to do. We need to do them. We needed to do them 20 years ago, frankly. But if we're not, if we, given the fact that we didn't do them yet, we need to do them now. And so I have this list of 5 issues, and this honestly, well, okay, 2 things, right? Number 1, if you really want to know what my politics are, just go listen to Changes by Tupac. Now, I'm not black. Well, technically I am like 0.4% Angolan and Congolese, but who's counting that, right? I'm not black, but that song speaks to any fucking leftist or any fucking poor person, because it's meant to be a net that casts it's meant to cast a wide net over a bunch of different social issues. But ultimately, you can just go listen to Changes by Tupac and get a pretty good idea of what my politics are. But if you're not going to go listen to Changes by Tupac, then you could hear me out on these 5 issues, right? Here's 5 things that we need to 5 things that we need to do in this country. By the way, there are 184 people in here right now. Make sure you guys are liking the stream. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel. Hit that little alert button so that you can see more of these in the future. And thank you so much for watching so far. Anyway, here's 5 things we need to do in this country to fix it and to put ourselves in a position where we can start helping to heal the world. Number 1, universal health care. This may not seem like something that's going to have that giant, big, world-changing effect. It will. America is a massive country of hundreds of millions of people. It's a massive country that projects its culture across the entire world. Our military might is the military might of most of the civilized world, the civilized quote-unquote world, right? So, the people in this country, we need to be taken care of. We need our fucking healthcare. That needs to no longer be something that is attached to your job and that is sometimes shitty and sometimes great, just depending on where you work and who you work for. That is bullshit. It has to change. We're not going to have a position to fix any of these other things unless we get that out of the way. So that's number 1, right? Number 2, infrastructure renewal. Massive fucking infrastructural renewal with an eye towards making high-speed rail a reality in this country and mass transit a reality in this country, right? Okay, food stipend. This one, people are always fucking saying it's a crazy leftist idea, it would never work. I think it's a fucking good idea. A food stipend, as in a universal appropriation of money based on income, but given regardless, right? A universal appropriation of money given to anyone making less than, say, 100 grand a year or 75 grand a year. I don't know where the limit should be stacked, but I think at some point there probably would be a limit. It would probably have to shift depending on the geography you're talking about, because 100 grand goes really far in Mississippi and doesn't go very far at all in Los Angeles, right? So it would have to depend on the geography. It would probably have to be something we'd have to come up with an algorithm for to decide, right? But a food stipend, a stipend that can only be used on food items and that has individual limits on what types of food you can buy with it, right? So that any person in America by default has enough money to buy enough food for themselves to maintain a healthy weight. Right? It's not going to be enough money to fucking buy steaks and fucking eggs every night or whatever. Like, steaks and eggs, what am I talking about? It's not going to be enough money to buy steak and potatoes every night. But it would be enough money to make sure people don't motherfucking starve, right? To make sure that there is no homeless person in this country that is forced to panhandle in a bad area or forced to fucking to crack spange so that they can get some fucking food to eat. It would create a system whereby people are fed. And it would stimulate the economy by giving lots of people right now who can only afford to just kind of barely keep themselves up with their food, or who are forced to eat calorically dense fast food because it's become cheaper than buying their own groceries and shit. It would give them the opportunity to eat a healthier diet, and it would give them way more money to engage with the economy on. So it's a program that would recirculate money through the economy in a positive way all the way around. Sounds like a crazy lefty communist idea. Really, it's about as capitalist as you can get. frankly, if we're just being completely honest. A food stipend is not this fucking crazy socialist idea that everybody thinks it is. It's actually a way to keep capitalism going long enough for us to transition away to something else, right? So, food stipend, right? That was number 3. Number 4, housing reform. We need to change the way housing works in this country. We need to change that, because right now there are millions of homeless people in this country, and there are millions of fucking completely unused houses. There are houses in this country that are completely fucking empty, that are not condemned, that are not in that bad a shape at all, that are sitting empty because they are more valuable to some real estate trust as empty property than they would be as a liability in the form of rented property. That has to change. The corporatization and the capitalization of real estate is something that we just cannot allow, at least with residential properties. If you want to have fucking commercial real estate be administered by private companies for a while, fine. But fucking residential real estate, no more. It needs to not be an industry. It needs to be something that is assigned to people on the basis of their need, right? And I think people that are living in a place right now should be grandfathered into ownership of whatever place they live in, right? This would be a complicated system. I'm not saying it would be easy to set it up, but if it was set up, it would fundamentally change the way poverty works in this country. And in fact, it would go a long way towards eliminating poverty in this country by creating a fucking bottom in our society below which you cannot pass, right? You end the homelessness crisis by guaranteeing people housing and by creating communities that work with one another, that are, now maybe this is something you'd have to do culturally independent of these legislative measures, but if you create communities with this uptick in people being able to live where they actually want to live, right, and an uptick in people being able to just live somewhere in general that's their own place, you start to have a country where we can begin to build a sense of community in small towns, big towns, and neighborhoods all over the country. Once again, that has become kind of impossible now with the level of tension that everybody's feeling, right? Communism never works. I'm not in here talking about communism, motherfucker. Be intelligent for once in your life and listen to the ideas that are being discussed, and don't just write them off in your head with the fucking C word. Please. You're pushing on shit you don't know how it works. Solve homeless, stop hunger in America, and let's all be neighbors. I don't even know how to fucking translate that into something that makes sense. Wouldn't we need bosses? No. Your boss exists to micromanage you and take most of your paycheck. Your boss exists to extract labor value from you. Your boss exists to make sure the CEO at the top of your company is getting the maximal amount of labor out of you for the minimum amount of pay. No, we do not need bosses. Can someone get rid of Cyber Lightning Warrior, please? I'm going to go use the bathroom, and by the time I get back, hopefully some of these morons will be bored enough to clear out. It sure would be nice to have an intelligent conversation at some point tonight. There's been a few of you that have been good, but God, some of you are fucking stupid. Okay. Alrighty. Oh man, it is so nice to come back and just see morons getting cleared from the chat. That's weird. That train did not have its bell on. The left did nothing about everything about you just talked about. Trump will fix it? No. Trump will not, but you're right. Well, here's the thing. You're right and you're wrong. Let me explain something. People on the right generally seem to agree with what the Republican Party does. People on the left, on the other hand, do not tend to agree with everything the Democratic Party does. They might defend them when they're talking to one of you guys, right? Now, mind you, I am not a DNC voter. I'm on the left, but I am anti-DNC, okay? I know that's a crazy fucking thing to think about because, once again, conservatively, philosophically conservative people and Republicans are pretty much a Venn diagram with absolute overlap. There might be like 200 people in all of America who consider themselves conservative and have conservative viewpoints, but recognize that the Republican Party is not the great white hope, right? But there's more overlap there than there is on the left. On the left, I would say maybe 30% of people on the left, like actually on the left, agree with the DNC as it does things, and the rest of us are all busy fucking on them. Like, you can go back through my streams and see me. Like, I did some streams near the election where I was talking about what a bad candidate Harris was and why I felt like she was going to lose. And, you know, like, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that the left didn't do any of the things that I was talking about when Biden was in office because the left wasn't in office when Biden was in office. Because Biden is not a leftist. Like, the fucking craziest trick the Republican Party has ever managed to pull is convincing Republicans that fucking racist, fascist, xenophobic moron is a fucking leftist. Joe Biden wrote the crime bill, for Christ's sakes. The crime bill. A conservative piece of legislation. They voted an orange into the Oval Office. Well, look at who the other option was. Kamala. You know, it's like, can you blame them for electing the fucking orange? I'm of the opinion that we didn't have a very good choice this last electoral cycle, and it kind of pisses me off that when I said that in 2020, everybody agreed with me. When I said that in 2016, most people agreed with me. Now I say that, Trump people get super mad about it. Because they just need a hope that is political. I don't know why. I don't know why so many of these people have hitched their whole life wagon to the idea of politics going one way or another, but it's apparently happened. Nobody had a choice, bro, and it's kind of what I'm fucking bemoaning. That's kind of what I'm bitching about, honestly. Kamala was fucking coronated the fucking nominee. There was not an open primary, right? So there was no primary by which other Democrats could put their fucking name in the hat and try their best, right? Wasn't even attempted in earnest by any Democrats. And Trump was pretty much the same way. There were a few other contenders, like Ron DeSantis was grousing about it, but all of them pretty much dropped out and fucking forgot about it by like 6 months before the fucking election. So there was no fucking primary season last year. There was just 2 coronations and an election between 2 people nobody wanted. The only reason Trump won in such overwhelming numbers is because of the power of the vote against. Yep, that's what we do here in America. Don't you love it? America used to be a place where people would vote for things that they wanted. Now, America is a place where they vote against things that they don't want. You're not a liberal or a Democrat. Why do you care about the primary? Because I used to be. Because I was never a liberal, but I used to be a Democrat. And I care about the American people having a fucking good choice in the fucking political system. So ultimately, the reason I care about the primary is because I care about the fucking political system of this country. I care about the way that it works, and I don't know that much about the Republican system. So I don't, I was never a Republican. Sorry. I don't have many criticisms for the way they're doing things because I don't follow their news as rigidly, and their news isn't served to me as often, right? So ultimately, I gave you guys what I know about the Republican primaries in 2024, but ultimately what I know more about is the Democratic primaries, because ostensibly, as someone on the left, I'm definitely not going to vote for a Republican. They're openly pro-business conservatives who are very often fond of targeting people like me, so I'm not going to vote for them. But I'm not always thrilled to vote for the Democratic Party either. And this last time, I couldn't bring myself to do it because I'm not going to vote for a fucking cop. In 2020, I did it because I was fear-mongered into believing that trans people were all going to be genocided if I didn't. And who knows, maybe we wouldn't have. Maybe we would have been. Maybe that's what Trump is gearing up to do now. But I refused to let myself get fear-mongered into a vote against again this last year. Because I genuinely believe that we could get a good candidate in the presidency. I don't think there's some kind of magic that prevents the American left from putting up a candidate and having them win. I just think the DNC is a poisoned fucking organization. And the reason why I talk about it, the reason why I care about it, is because the DNC is supposed to represent people like me, or at least the interests of people like me. They're supposed to represent the American people in general, right? But you vote in a Democrat, the idea, right, in this era of American politics is supposed to be you vote in Democrats if you care about the working class, if you care about the advancement of civil rights and that kind of thing, right? However, over the last 2 election cycles, the Democrats have fucking sprinted to the fucking right. They have gone so fucking far right that it has become impossible for me as a fucking leftist to support them. So yeah, I'm going to criticize their primaries because they're fucking evidence of everything I'm saying. They're evidence of the fact that the DNC doesn't care about us. They're evidence of the fact that the DNC is not interested in giving people a legitimate and genuine candidate to care about. It's proof of this shit. So yeah, I care. Guns, what do you think? I was talking about this the other day, and I'm tempted to just tell you to go watch that stream, but I wouldn't have a timestamp for you, so I'll go over it again. I think that most of what we do for guns right now is pretty good. However, I want to reform the American system a little bit to where I think kids should begin receiving gun safety courses beginning in grade 4. I think we should start with gun safety courses that focus on, hey, a gun is a dangerous thing. It's a tool, right? It's a tool that can be used for a lot of different things, but it's not a tool for kids. It's not a tool to be silly with or to play with. It is a tool to be respected and kept away from when you're still little. So here's what you do if you see a gun. You let a responsible adult know, right? And here's what a responsible adult looks like, right? So, but as they get older, right, once they're getting up to the age where they can safely handle a gun, you start teaching them, okay, here's how to safely handle a gun. And while you're doing this, about the same time you start teaching them how to handle it, or a year before, you give them ethics classes as well. You give them at least a couple semesters of ethics classes so that it is kind of drilled into their head, like why killing people is bad, why endangering another human life is bad, etc., etc. And so you equip kids to stop, because here's the thing. Parents are going to raise their kids however they're going to fucking raise them, but there is one correct way to raise a kid when it comes to guns. I'm sorry. There is one correct way to raise kids when it comes to guns. You don't teach your kid that their gun is a fucking toy. You don't teach their kid that they can get their gun out anytime they fucking want to. You don't teach your kid that their gun is to be used as a threat. You don't teach them that it's to be used in an argument. You teach them to respect it as the tool of meat harvesting, destruction, and sport that it is, and self-defense, right? You teach them about those 4 uses, and you explain to them why any other use of a gun is wrong, right? Or what context of a use of a gun in those contexts is wrong, right? So there's one right way to do this shit. And if parents aren't going to universally do it, and they're fucking self-evidently not, then we need to get ahead of it in the school system. However, none of this gun violence is going to go away ultimately, none of this violence that's currently being done with guns is going to go away entirely unless we end some of the reasons why the violence is happening. This violence is not out of nowhere. This violence is not just spontaneously happening because people just love killing each other. They don't. The reason why so much of this gun violence is a fucking thing is the war on drugs and poverty. Poverty and the war on drugs are more responsible for gun deaths than any fucking straw purchases. Just a fucking sad fact of it. People that feel like they don't have another option, even if they do, I recognize that you always do, but people who feel like they don't have any other option besides gangbanging or slinging dope in some little trailer park or something, those kinds of people are going to continue to use violence against other people in furtherance of their illegal activity until we create a system that does not create a class of people that have to engage in illegal activity because there's just no jobs left for them anymore. And if there are, they're fucking somewhere that they've got to move to, and the process for moving there is fucking fraught with danger and shit. You know, it's like, create an equitable system where people are taken care of and not under the gun 24/7, literally and figuratively, and you'll see a world where people aren't under the gun 24/7. I think people are just violent. You seen anything going on? I'm not sure what you mean by the last part of that sentence, but no, people are not inherently violent. Chimpanzees are inherently violent. Human beings are inherently cooperative. Wouldn't we need bosses in order to make sure the workers can act as a whole to create a product together rather than all work together? How does work even start without the initiation of bosses? Easy. You have a council of workers responsible for the training of new employees, and once they're trained, they come in and work as they would have otherwise. And instead of their sense of responsibility to their business coming from their boss threatening them or being a hard ass, their sense of responsibility to that business comes from the fact that they're making a decent wage at it. The fact that they've got representation in that business. The fact that they feel a sense of ownership over that business because of the way a democratically controlled workplace works, right? Those are far better motivations for a worker than my boss is really going to get on to me if I don't do this right. It just is. Feeling like you've got skin in the game is always going to be worth more than a condescending look from some middle manager. Isn't a council of workers equivalent to bosses? No, because your boss isn't elected, right? That's what differentiates a council of workers who runs a business, cooperatively and democratically, from a system where you've got a boss and a hierarchy and a corporatocracy, right? Under a worker-owned system, a worker-controlled system, every single person that works at an organization has voting power in the leadership of that organization. And yes, for specific departments, foremen are still elected, right? So ultimately, you still end up with bosses, kind of, but they're not placed on a giant fucking class above you. They don't make massively more than you. They're not entitled to way more benefits than you are. They're entrusted with more responsibility because they've demonstrated themselves to be more responsible and to have tenure that they're not going to go anywhere, right? That is the ideal supervisor. Not somebody who was selected for the position because they got the right fucking college credits and their dad put in the right fucking number for them, right? Ultimately, you want the most skilled, responsible person doing that work. And in my opinion, the best system is one where that person can be called to account for their mistakes by the people affected by those mistakes most, their coworkers. I'm not talking about a board of directors. I'm talking about a council. A council of workers sounds like a board of directors. Well, the difference is fucking massive. A board of directors sits at the top of your company somewhere in Seattle and makes decisions that have nothing to do with the people on the fucking ground. A council of workers is a council of people entrusted by the people who work at a specific location to maintain the upkeep of that location. And if you've got a brand or something, like if you're talking about a system where people actually own the means of production and it goes all the way up, right? If you've got a brand that has that sort of corporatocracy, well, number one, that shit needs to fucking end. Number two, it's simple. Instead of fucking hiring these people, instead of it being a private decision, it's an election amongst the people who work there, right? This is already how unions work, right? There are all kinds of all kinds of construction unions in this country work under the same exact principle. They've got an overarching organization, right? And a president at the head of that national organization. But that president is not making all the day-to-day decisions on managing the individual shops that make up that union. The people who work in those shops make the decisions for those shops, whether through their participation in the union or through their participation in those workplaces, or through the process of rising up in the company that they work for that's represented by that union, right? Whose workers are represented by that union. And it works, right? So the people at the very top are responsible for the coordination of the efforts of all the different chapters, and the chapters manage themselves more or less under the light guidance of an overarching organization. How would the Council of Workers be created / maintained so that it doesn't evolve into a corrupt small group of basically oligarchs? Well, you would have to have it so that it is just expected and mandated that, like, I think if people actually did manage to take over the means of production, we would probably institute some kind of legislation that demands that businesses hold elections for their council of workers and everything every, 4 years or something. And there should be term limits too, right? Or maybe limits on serving consecutively could be an idea, right? So any one person elected to a position can't serve more than 2 terms, and here's an idea, right? Because you might have a leader that's really good and that stays around at that workplace for a really long time. You might want them multiple times. So in order to prevent that sort of corruption from people just staying in forever like a fucking embedded tick like Mitch McConnell or something, you make it so that you can't serve more than 2 consecutive terms in a row. So if you serve 2 consecutive terms, then you have to take that many years off from working in the administrative side. Maybe that's a regulation that could be talked about to prevent that sort of corruption. Ultimately, the thing you have to do to prevent that sort of corruption is to absolutely ensure that the same people can't be there forever. And you have to have a system by which recall elections can be held. And you have to make these businesses account for that. You have to enforce compliance, basically. Also, do you smoke? Your voice is very raspy. I'm curious, do you have any thoughts on having husbandry with insects? How would you feel about domesticating and consuming grasshoppers and such for consumption? I'm all about it. I just don't think the American people are going to go for it. I'm sorry, let me correct that. I don't think the American people are going to go for it until it's too late. When it's too fucking late, there's no food left in the grocery stores, then people will want to eat crickets. But by that time, it's going to be too fucking late because none of the infrastructure is going to be set up to grow crickets or grasshoppers or anything else. So yeah, I think it's a good idea. I just don't think it's a particularly likely one. Needs a drink. My voice does that too. Yeah, I took a drink and hopefully it'll help it a little bit. All right, well, I'm out. I like the perspective on the worker-boss relationship and its flaws and solutions. See ya. Well, thank you. Thank you for the conversation, and I hope it was revelatory in some way. Revelatory. I don't think we're running out of food anytime soon. Oh, you sweet summer child. I ain't really got to worry about it because I live on a homestead, but you guys should be worried about it, especially if Trump really gets to go through with this whole deportation thing. You might start to see our tomato supply and our eggplant supply and our almond supply run out pretty fucking quick. Just letting you know. LOL, grocery stores don't make food. Are you fucking retarded? Do you really think that when I said... God, man. Do you really think when I said when the grocery stores run out of food that I meant I think fucking grocery stores make the food? Grocery stores distribute the food from distributors to the people. So, when they run out of food, that is the equivalent of a society running out of food. There may be food somehow still in the distribution system that's just not making it to the grocery stores or that's selling out as soon as it does, but that is functionally a society that has run dry of food. None of those three are a stable diet for a vast majority of people. Okay. Cucumbers, salad greens, lettuce. Once again, tomatoes, eggplants, cucumbers, zucchini, squash, beans, corn, grapes, most nuts grown in America. All of these things, soybeans, all of these things are things that are grown, picked, harvested, etc., processed by Mexican hands. Sorry. Peanuts, potatoes, all kinds of crops. Sugar beets. You don't know what you're talking about, bud. Food isn't scarce even with deportations. It won't run out. You sound awfully confident. I hope you're right. Granted, when I said it was going to run out, I wasn't talking about because of the Trump thing. Now, granted, I think it's more of a risk because of that, but really, I was talking about, some future event. What I think is going to happen due to the deportations is that food's going to become scarce. Certain foods are going to become more scarce. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Unless you and your white friends are willing to go out there and pick grapes and cranberries and fucking tomatoes and potatoes and almonds and oranges for fucking $2 an hour. Unless y'all are suddenly willing to do that, then I'm afraid you're going to have to fucking accept $7 for a pack of tomatoes in the very near future. Sorry, I didn't make it that way. Daddy Trump made it that way. By the way, do you and your partner have any plans for Valentine's? I wish. But no, we're kind of... I don't really want to talk about it. I mean, I guess now I have to because otherwise it's going to sound bad. We're just not in an economic situation where I can afford to splash out for them for Valentine's Day. Sad but true. So I'm going to try and watch movies with them, maybe pop some popcorn or something, but Not all farmers are Hispanics. No, most farmers are white dudes. Most farm hands are Hispanic. Certain foods, yeah, your donuts. After I literally got done listing salad greens, cucumbers, zucchini, whatever, dumb faggot. You just hear whatever you want to hear. Staples like beef, chicken, fruits, and vegetables aren't hard to grow. All right, then get growing. Bro, you super confident motherfuckers are going to be so fucking hilarious to look at in 6 months. Dumb motherfuckers, unless you are actively gardening and have been for a few years, I don't want to hear about how, oh, all that shit's easy to grow. We'll just grow it ourselves. You don't know shit. Unless you are actively gardening right now and have been for years, you don't know shit. You don't know fuck all. You don't know your ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to this topic. You might think it's easy to grow. You might think all this shit's easy till you actually fucking do it. And at that point, you will realize that it is something that you need people to prepare you for. But whatever, just be blithe and ignorant about it. That'll totally work. Now, what you could be doing is saying, yeah, you know what? The food supply might get pretty fucking scary here soon. Sounds like people should really start learning how to garden. Sounds like people should really start learning how to produce their own food. But you're not. You're just in here snidely commenting about how easy it is, having probably never grown anything yourself. You're already funny to look at. You're about to be really funny when you're banned. Cows and chickens aren't hard to grow. I know, Merrick. I know. Dumb motherfuckers. Yeah, 6 hens and a fucking little chicken tractor, not hard to raise. 14 chickens, like you need for a family of 4 to have eggs, to make pasta, to make fucking staples, for food prep, for making breads and egg washes. That is a little bit more of a consideration. As far as beef not being hard to raise, yeah, I mean, I guess if you've got the land for it, beef is really not like a super difficult thing to raise, but they're a difficult thing to raise in perpetuity if you aren't yourself a vet or don't have experience with beef. So like a family like mine, like my family didn't start raising beef until pretty fucking recently, and even now it's not like we raise a bunch of cows. We've got 1 calf, so we would probably not be a great candidate for people who should fucking get into cows right now because we don't really know shit about it. Pigs, on the other hand, we do. We've been pig farmers for a lot of years, Chickens, poultry in general, we know shit ton about that. Rabbits, same thing. So there's, goats, another fucking same thing. So there's avenues that we are familiar with, that we know how to work with, that are, better for us to pursue. But no animal is easy to raise. Not if you're doing it as part of your living. Hey, investor on Coke, you might want to just fucking put the Coke down because you don't know what you're fucking talking about. Markets drive wages to equilibrium, then how come wages have been stagnant for the last 20 years? As food prices go up due to scarcity, then wages for those farm jobs will too. Then why have wages for farm workers remained stagnant for 20 years while food prices have gone massively up? You don't know what you're talking about, and I'm going to ban you so that you can't keep spreading misinformation. Go snort a fat line somewhere else, dude. I love Coke too, but I don't snort a bunch of it and start talking bullshit online. To be fair, I haven't had it for about 2 years though, so. How many pounds of feed does just one cow need for a day? I guess it depends on the breed, but I mean, our calf at the size she is right now goes through like a good 5 pounds a day, at least 6 pounds, 7, it might even be more. I know it's not 10 pounds because it takes us about a week and a half to go through a 50-pound bag of feed. So I would say around 7 pounds. You also need to distinguish if you're raising cows for beef or for milk. Very good point. That can make such a huge difference. It does make a big difference. If you're raising cows for dairy purposes, that's a way different set of fucking care requirements and a way different set of skills than if you're raising steers for meat production. But nobody wants to hear this shit, dude. Everybody wants to have their fucking bright-eyed, bushy-tailed idea about how they're going to fix all this shit that flies in the face of reality and supports whatever fun little narrative they've cooked up for how the world works. Nobody wants to have a serious conversation about shit anymore. Okay, not nobody, but man, is it so... It's becoming so fucking rare. The same reason a black person can use the N slur yet still get mad if other people use it. Context is king. Is Mr. Nobody getting all mad about me saying faggot? Yeah, sounds about right. They can call me fat and funny looking and all this other shit, but the minute I call one of them a faggot, even though I'm a trans woman and an open queer, I'm the bad guy. Don't you love this shit? This is why trolls don't get under my skin, because I understand the nature of an unserious person. I understand the nature of a person who's got absolutely no emotional investment in the shit that they're saying because they're not intelligent enough. Either they're not intelligent enough to realize to see the deeper implications of the conversations they're having, or they are too fucking self-obsessed to even care. And either way, it's not worth my fucking time and energy. So, according to Mr. Nobody, here is what. So, there is no. So, 2 quotes from Mr. Nobody. Actually, there's no context where it's a viable way to use in Discord. I think they meant discourse, but they're not intelligent enough to know that word. And here's their first message in chat. What in the meth lab basement is going on in here? So, it's acceptable and viable to call me a meth head, but not acceptable and viable for me to call someone else a faggot. Sounds like you've got some civility politics bullshit going on in your head that you need to work out in a different place other than my fucking stream, bitch. I'm taking none of this serious as the way you speak or carry yourself. That's all on you. Bow. I don't even... Just... Man, this idiot. There we go. Concern, troll, and bullshit. Time to pour myself a glass of wine for this. Yes. I must have came in on a weird point. I'm lost as fuck. Dude, Jessica, I'm lost too at this point. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Fucking hell, people are dumb. I know. I know. I know. And all you have to do to fucking prove some of these motherfuckers stupid is just look at their fucking chat history. As soon as someone brings up a valid argument, banned! Wait. I'm taking none of this serious as the way you speak or carry yourself. That's all on you, bud. is a valid argument. It's not an argument at all. You want to be banned too, Brado? You want the fucking heat too, bitch? Or are you going to come in here with some substance? I don't give a shit if you're back unless you're back with some fucking heat. You still haven't accepted my friend request on Discord? Oh, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting. I've been avoidant of Discord lately because I've got so many DMs piling up for me, and I've just been in one of those moods where I'm just like, I don't know how to respond to anything. I don't know. But I just need to do it. I just need to do it. Because eventually you're going to get mad at me. You're going to be like, ah, fuck this bitch. And that'd be bad. That wouldn't be any good. We ain't going to get no serious arguments from Brado. Brado with a mind of Play-Doh. Good old Brado with his mind full of Play-Doh. He thought he was Play-Doh, but really, he wasn't Grado. All right, it fell apart at the end, but you get what I mean. Old Brado, his mind made of Play-Doh. For one, Merrick, the dick writing is insane. Two, I mean, growing crops and raising cattle, growing cows. Fuck you. You're just gonna get banned, bitch. That wasn't even an argument. That was just, why you done what you done? Nobody's riding my dick harder than you right now, Brado. You've literally been hanging off my fucking girl nuts for 2 hours now. You've been swinging back and forth on them from the fucking hairs that I shaved down to a nubbin. I don't even know how you're holding on. Bro, you said that already and you're like 5,000 pounds? Your mom didn't think so when I was fucking riding her last night. She thought I was pretty svelte. You just got here 15 minutes ago? Oh, really? Bro looked like a Karen and sounds like a Bob. So let's see here. I think people are just violent. You seen anything going on? That message was sent an hour ago. Literally disproven just by the channel activity feature. She wouldn't touch you with a 5.5-foot pole. Oh, she touched me with a far shorter pole last night. I let her peg me. You should ask her about it. She's got this pink dildo that's like 8 inches long, and it's like one of those like dragon dildos. It's pretty fucking sexy, honestly. She lubed it up and we played around, you know, it was pretty fucking fun. But then when I was like bending her over and fucking her ass, it was the weirdest thing because she kept moaning out your name. That's weird to me, man. It's like a little bit incestuous, but I didn't really question it at the time. I have one of those. It might have been yours, Jessica, honestly. I mean, did you let somebody borrow it? Did you let like a 600-pound fat bitch with like bags in her eyes and badly dyed hair use it last couple nights? Because you might have lent it to Brado's mom. What's with all the bans? Censorship is a capitalistic tactic and it sucks. Censorship is when you prevent someone from making their opinion known. Censorship is not when you tell someone to get the fuck up out of your house. That is what this stream is. This stream is me inviting you into a place where I hang out to have a conversation with me. And if I get sick of your dumbass, I'm going to ban you from my channel. I'm not stopping you from talking. I'm not stopping anybody I ban from making their opinion known. I just don't personally have to hear it. That's what the ban feature's for. But regardless, I've been enjoying the discussion before it got derailed. Yeah, I was enjoying the discussion a lot before it got derailed, but it is what it is, man. Sometimes that's just how these go. Make sure you're subbed, because we have conversations like that as often as people want to have them. You know, about once a day I usually stream, and I'm coming up at the end of this one now. I usually stream for about 2 hours, but make sure you subscribe, because those things, you know, I love to have people that are interested in the discussion, that actually want to have a conversation in here, you know, and I don't ban those people. Like, here's the thing. I ban people who are being purposefully obstinate and who are coming at me sideways. But I don't ban people just for disagreeing with me. Like, you can come in here and respectfully, like, I don't even care if the argument you're making is inherently a transphobic one. If you come at me with, like, some level of basic human respect, I'm willing to have the fucking argument with you. But if you come in here like trans Peter Griffin, and that's your first message, I don't feel a whole lot of responsibility towards treating you with kindness, because you didn't start the interaction with kindness. Why is it on me, right? This chat is not a democracy. Idiots will get banned quick and fast. Exactly. Thank you for reminding them, Merrick. This chat is not a democracy. This chat is a fucking fascist dictatorship, and I hold the reins. And I give the fucking shotguns to my mods for them to enforce with. I'm sub now. I'm free around this time during the day, so looking forward to hearing your perspectives about other topics for the cause. Let me know if you need more mods, too. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And just so you know, I was joking about the chat being a fascist dictatorship. It's not fascist. It is a bit of a dictatorship, though, and I would just say, you know, as an argument, like, hey, so is everybody's house. Nobody likes to be told what to do in their house or to have someone around that they don't want to talk to, right? Me, functionally, I don't think you should look at me banning somebody as a form of censorship. I think you should look at it as a form of personal circle keeping, right? And yeah, in general, it's not a good idea to ask to be mod. I don't think OnSpeed meant it with any malice, though. I don't think OnSpeed is necessarily trying to social climb. I just think they're saying, like, you know, hey, yeah, I'm subbed, and I think this is a pretty cool chat, and, you know, if you need more help, just let me know. Did you see that stealth ban TJ came in with, and now they departed? I love it when mods do that. It's so funny. I did not notice the oh shit, there they are. Yup. I did not notice the Frey run in there with the steel chair. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. That makes me so happy. This might end up being my most highly viewed stream yet, by the way, y'all, because earlier we hit a maximum of 202 people, I think. So this might end up being our best viewed stream yet, y'all. So thank you to everyone who has contributed in the chat with intelligent comments. And thank you even to the trolls, because you guys actually showed out in force tonight and generated some pretty good conversations all in all. So thanks to everybody who showed up. I'm not leaving just yet. I'm just saying. Thanks, guys. It's been fun. Like a shadow in the night. Congrats. Well, thank you. Exactly. And yes, they do that. They did that the other day too, and I was like, thank goodness. I have the best friends in the world. Truly. Spank me and call me a good girl. Jessica, these things are for DMs. The trolls suck, but they do help to drive the algo for reach. It's funny that they don't realize this. Oh, I know. It's hilarious. And I used to bring it up, but every so often it will make them leave en masse. But, the fact of it is that you can hardly do a better thing for a streamer than to be in there trolling them, especially if they're reactive to their chat like I am, because it usually leads to some pretty good content. I couldn't help myself. It's okay. It's all right. I'm gonna use the bathroom one last time, and then the next time I get up will be to leave you all. Someone asked me the other day, what do I get out of my streams? And at the time I told them, well, it's cathartic. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I'm being heard. It's a good form of self-expression. And I've thought about it more since I gave that answer. And I don't think it was incorrect, but I don't know that it was the entire truth either. Honestly, these streams are a little bit of an attempt by me to recapture something that I feel like I used to have with a group of friends that I lived with. Well, more or less lived with. 2 of them were roommates, and 2 of them were just people that came over all the fucking time. Well, 2 or 3 of them, honestly, were people that just came over all the time. And we would sit around in the garage, passing a blunt, and having just the craziest conversations. Sometimes they were real serious and political. Sometimes they were more funny and upbeat. Sometimes they were more sad, but they were always interesting. And I think this is at least partly about me trying to recapture some of that magic. Because honestly, you guys make me feel like, even the trolls, kind of, some of them remind me in a way of some of my old friends that are just like endlessly derisive of everyone they're around, but they've got a heart of gold somewhere in there, And I'm not saying every one of my trolls is that, but there is something about this environment, something about these streams that makes me feel reassured, that makes me feel better about my place in the world. It makes me feel like I'm being heard. But most importantly, it makes me feel like I've got a social group of interesting, funny, and like-minded people that I really haven't been able to maintain much over the last few years. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Maybe people would say that's a personal failing of mine, that I need to get offline and go make those friends in real life. But the fact of it is, my life is just not very well set up for that sort of thing right now. Maybe someday in the future, when the farm is more built up and I've got a place of my own, like my own little house somewhere on the property, or we buy some more land and I've got my own pad, right? Then at that point, maybe I could rekindle that kind of thing. But when I was living in my van, I couldn't have a big group of friends. I just couldn't. I had a big group of friends, but I couldn't hang out with all of them at the same time, if that makes sense. I could only hang out with a max of a few of them at the same time. The only time when I got kind of an exception from that was Rainbow. Rainbow was like getting some of that energy back, honestly. It was like having access once again to that diverse group of people that all had different ideas and were all very interesting people, but, they're different, right? And there's a bunch of different personalities to bounce off of. And, when I was living homeless and living in my van, I couldn't have that unless I was at Rainbow. Can't be a Rainbow all year round, I mean, I guess you can, but it's not exactly the most feasible thing. I couldn't really have it when I was living in the apartment that I was living in Massachusetts, because I just didn't have a big friend group up there. I was working on building a bigger friend group, but things kind of fell apart before I could get to that point, And, during the few abortive attempts I had to get off the road before then, I was never able to have that giant group of friends. There was a couple of times when I got close and had that same kind of feeling, but ultimately I've just kind of accepted that it'll be a different chapter in my life when I'm able to do things like have a big group of people over at my house smoking bud and hanging out and listening to trap music. For now, these streams are a very close approximation of that, We can all sit around in our own places doing whatever we want, and we have a facsimile of a conversation. Now, it's not to say you guys are my only friends. Obviously, I work, and so my coworkers I would consider them probably closer than most of you guys. Not all of you, but there's definitely some of you guys I consider myself way closer to than any of my coworkers. Merrick's one. Jessica, not yet, but she's definitely a really cool person that I would consider on the level of one of my coworkers. Gemma is just super sweet with a heart of gold, and I would consider her, Sorry. I had to turn off my Wi-Fi because it was trying to connect, and I don't have a very good connection out here. I hope you have a great week. Well, thanks, Glitch Dash. I honestly don't think I could stream. I'm too self-conscious and become antisocial after I deal with people. Yeah, see, I do have a social battery, but mine is weird, dude. Mine is just so fucking weird. My social battery is recharged, if that makes sense. Okay, so here's how it works, right? I'm not even going to use the battery analogy for it because it doesn't even make that much sense with the way my socialization, like my social battery works. It just doesn't make sense in that framework, right? So I start off my morning feeling pretty antisocial, but it is through socializing with other people that I begin to kind of awaken that social battery, and a few hours into it, I'm really into it, right? And all the way up until the end of the night, I'm pretty wired with it. But by the time I get done with this stream and go back in, or honestly, even by the time I get done with the stream, I'll really only have room in my heart, basically, room in my attention span, or whatever, however you want to call it, for like one person, and that'll be my partner. Well, two people, my partner and my kid, right? So it's kind of weird, right? It's not like I start the day just giddy to socialize. I start the day being kind of, hermetical and like withdrawn. And it is through socializing with other people that I kind of come out of my shell a little bit. And I'm like, all right, what's up? And I get to the point where I feel like socializing with people on a larger scale. And oftentimes on days when I don't work, I will end up getting more anxious, right? So that's one of the things, like when I'm in a better economic position, one of the things I want to do is start getting in the habit of, if I've got, like a week off of work or whatever, for like some shutdown or something that's happening, I want to be able to go out places, not to spend a whole bunch of money, but it's just like, when you have to pinch every penny, you can't exactly justify going to town just for the fucking fun of walking around downtown and socializing with some people, It's not really something you can justify doing if you're trying to pinch every single penny. But if I was in a position where I've got a little bit in savings and I've got a decent income, then I want to make it a habit to, during times when I'm going to have more than a couple of days where I'm at the house, I want to kind of be able to, if not have people over, then go out and do shit. Because I just have to have that kind of, I don't know, that social interaction. That's one of the reasons why I will stream sometimes in the mornings, is because sometimes it makes me feel more sociable. And it makes me feel less self-conscious and shit, And I'm too much of a paranoid person to stream. It helps in the current climate, and I'm an excellent security contractor. Right on. That makes sense. Merrick, have you ever thought about doing some kind of public speaking course? It's a great way to build a level of self-confidence. Yeah, those can be a good way to build self-confidence, but also I don't think everybody needs to do it, you know? I used to do a lot of theater back in the day. I just have no interest in myself out there. I'm not shy about speaking in front of people. I do it for a living. I'm too much of an introvert. I genuinely get tired of people very quickly. I've had so many potential hookups in because of getting tired of people. Yeah, dude, that's the real fucking shit right there, though. I've had it happen a couple of times too, where I'm really fucking geared into it, and I'm down right up until the moment I'm not, and then when I'm not, I'm just like, oh god, I don't think I can listen to another fucking second of this person's prattling bullshit. Yeah, no, I don't blame you a bit. You just get sick of people, and I get that. Like I said, I don't think everybody needs to engage in that kind of thing. I don't think it's like, if it's not something that you feel bad about, then why work on it, you know? There are some times when I think I need to take some classes on presentation, maybe, but I don't know if public speaking is exactly what I need classes in. I feel like I'm a pretty adept public speaker. Maybe you guys have a different idea of that, but I feel like I'm a pretty adept public speaker. Now, I don't always use all my public speaker tricks all the time. Like, for the last, for the last hour or so, I've kind of just been sitting here, not really doing much with my hands, but sometimes you'll see me present more with my hands and use them more in an argument, and that's a public speaking trick people will teach you about. I tend to find a stimulating conversation hard to find. Oh yes, no, it is hard to find a stimulating conversation these days. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I come here, right? Is because hidden amongst the 200 retarded people were 10 intelligent people, and those 10 intelligent people are worth, in my opinion, wading through the 20 retards to get to them. No, Phoebes, you are excellent with speech and articulating ideas. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I try to be. I was diagnosed with autism when I was pretty young, and luckily for me, I actually received speech therapy. And not only that, but I had two parents that were really adept speakers themselves. And my dad actually used to be an auctioneer. Auctioneering it's not really looked at as one, but it's a performance profession. And especially the way my parents did it. My mom was his clerk, my dad was the auctioneer. The way that business works, or at least the way my parents ran their business, it was a very much a performance-oriented kind of thing. And I think I picked up on a lot of that without ever really realizing it. But I've also, at some point in my life, I started to take a keen interest in the subject of public speaking and in the idea of rhetoric as a tool, rhetoric as an art form. I think really the thing that finalized it in my heart was my old English teacher, who I don't want to say his name because it was really unique, but I had this English teacher from years ago that was my teacher all throughout high school, basically throughout most of my high school career. And when we finally got to, I think it was 11th grade English, that's when he started. It was like Advanced English 1, I think, was when he started teaching us about rhetoric as art, rhetoric as an art form. And I fell in love with the idea. I fell in love with it because I felt like I had essentially already been doing that for years with people online and with people in my friend group and with my family sometimes. I was just an argumentative little bastard. Still am. Well, I guess I'm an argumentative little bitch now, technically. I'm also just an idiot when it comes to flirting. I once had a MILF offer to give me her number, and I said, no, I'm good. Dude, I made the same mistake, Merrick. I made the same fucking mistake, and I still feel like an idiot for it sometimes. But there was a reason why I didn't. It's a whole fucking story. I'll have to tell you guys sometime. I kick myself every other day over that mistake. I can't blame you, man. Majority of people aren't worth socializing with. About the only interesting conversation was Jehovah's Witnesses come over, asked them inside. They left really quick from all the satanic decorations. Yeah, and it's sad because you probably could have had a pretty interesting conversation with them on the whole. I can give you my number and text you the info later. Bashes eyelashes. I know, dude. You were about to get some head. You were about to get fucking serviced, and you turned it down. You can't be saved. No, Jessica. There's no teaching him. Don't even bother. There's no teaching. No, seriously, you could be taught, but flirting is. Here's the thing. Flirting is a weird thing, because every person expects to be flirted with differently. Every person interprets flirting differently, and I don't know that I could give a class on flirting. Like I could tell you how I do it, but I don't know that would be useful to anyone. I'm out for the day. Thanks for the stream. See you tomorrow, maybe. Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate you. Oh, I love it. My house makes people so uncomfortable. Yeah, I would imagine. But that's probably the good thing, like, you don't have to deal with unwanted guests as much, The power of the Satan makes them leave. Or the presupposed power of the Satan. It's funny, you would think that people with so much faith in God would believe that God would protect them from any satanic influence, huh? Wonder what that's about. It's almost like they're more scared. It's almost like they're more scared of the devil than they are fond of God. It's almost like they're more afraid of the reprisal of hell than they are excited about the reward of heaven. Frey! Damn it, YouTube keeps censoring my genocidal comments. Fucking goddamn it. I'm sorry, Frey. It does that though, dude. You can't say shit on YouTube anymore. YouTube's a fucking pussy. Like, YouTube is just a collective pussy at this point. It sucks, but you can't say fuck all. Dude, when that Luigi Mangione shit was going on, I wanted to say all kinds of crazy fucking revolutionary shit in everybody's comments. And I eventually just stopped because I got sick of trying to censor my way into fucking revolutionary advocacy, because I would post some shit and people would read it like, huh? What are you trying to say? And I can't blame them, because I was like, having to censor it in such a weird way. But luckily we're on a very similar wavelength, so no trouble. There's a shotgun on the wall and satanic decor everywhere. Yeah, I mean, like, that sort of thing is really good for making squares stay the fuck away from your house, which is probably what's good. I'm trying to say that I want to release a new Transformers film to raise the IQ of the nation. Ooh, wait a minute. Do I know where this is going? Do we are we putting is there going to be like an arsenic gas that's planted in the theater when it releases? Yes. Okay, I was right. Cool. Yep. It's cool. Dope. Sweet. Yeah, I'm down for that too. We make a new Transformers movie, right? Transformers 19. The Rage of Misanthropatron, or whatever, And nobody's going to catch the title, don't worry. They're not going to fucking think about it at all. Clearly they're not gonna. They're fucking Transformers fans. We get them into the theater. Easy as. We know it's going to be packed with the dumbest motherfuckers this country has to offer, right? We don't tell any of the smart people because they're already going to know, because they're going to see Transformers in the title and be like, oh, I'm going to go watch the movie about the fluffy kitten because at least there's something I might actually want to see in there. And then we lock the doors. We open the arsenic valve. Or what's that other shit that they were constantly worried about? What's that shit, dude? Okay. Oh my god. I just remembered something else that I think Frey thinks I'm silly for thinking this, but okay, I'm just gonna say it. Dirty bombs, not a threat. But what, during the era of the dirty bomb, what was the chemical that everybody was fear-mongering about? I cannot remember the name of it. It started with an A. It's not arsenic. Arsenic's a poison, but it wasn't arsenic. And it wasn't ammonia. And it's not... Fuck! No, it's, sarin gas was a thing, but was that... Anthrax! That's what it was! Anthrax! That's the fucking shit. That's what everybody's all fucking crazy worried about every time a fucking domestic terrorist plot pops up. Right? Yes, anthrax. Yeah, so we seed the fucking seats with anthrax, right? And we allow the film to proceed, and we send some dudes in hazmat suits to clean up the mess after, and we rinse and repeat until there's no more Transformers fans. And somehow, after that, I don't think we'll have much of a problem getting together a workers' movement to take this bitch over. Something tells me we won't encounter as much resistance. That is a pretty fucking genius idea out of Frey, for sure. Anthrax mailing white powder to the government and everyone freaking out thinking it's anthrax. Yeah. This sounds like a... Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Wait, is this not just the plot of a comic book? We're going to lure everybody into a movie and we're going to, dispose of them. God, man. Oh, man. That's one way to look at a human being. The only worry is that some intelligent people might see it ironically. Hipsters, right. But ultimately, if we kill off a bunch of hipsters, have we really done the world a disservice? And I mean, I like to think that the intelligent people who want to see it ironically might pirate it or wait for it to come out on VOD. But I also know that intelligent people tends to be people who are, like, not always, but a lot of intelligent people, like, they like engaging in their hobbies, pretty regularly. And a smart person who goes to the movies often might, on a very particularly bad day at the theater, might possibly be swayed into walking in that door. But my argument is this: acceptable losses. That's it. That's all. That's the whole argument. Transformers 98, Megatron's Revenge. You'll die to see it. Yep. That's the fucking tagline, too. Meanwhile, all the people in on the plot are just, like, snickering every time they see the poster. They're like... Ooh, Frey. Free popcorn. We offer it with free popcorn. That's the fucking ticket. Free popcorn, right? So fucking you make them You make them feel ultimate bliss and joy as they slip off into the void. So it's not even a cruel thing. You're giving people a big old dose of popcorn. By the time you turn on the Anthrax, they've gotten halfway through the movie, they're falling asleep, and, you know, they drift away into a peaceful, what feels like a food coma induced by the boredom of Transformers, but what is really a disposal. I just want a movie where Optimus Prime and Megatron finally get married. I know. Those two old biddies have been... They've been fucking... They've been circling each other for fucking years. Rubbing cocks every chance they get. But we haven't seen the love arc. They're still bullshitting us like they're fucking enemies. Dude, no two people care about each other that much and don't love each other, dude. I fucking... No. No. I want a Batman movie with a serious Mr. Freeze. Ooh, that would be good. I swear I ate enough tonight. Oh, damn it. Damn it. Whatever. The hiccups are back. Yep. I might just go ahead and end this just because I ain't trying to fucking go through the whole fucking shit and shebang to get rid of them only to fucking... No. God damn it. I hate hiccups so much. Yeah, I'm rewatching the animated series and I'm so angry at how that movie did him dirty. Dude, I will be honest with you. I have not been impressed with any Batman movie I've seen since the one with Heath Ledger in it. I know that probably sounds awful, but the one I'm thinking of, the most recent one I saw was the one with the Riddler. And the flight suit in that movie is so fucking bad. It's the thing I remember most about the movie because it's the thing I remember being most absurd about the movie. And if I remember correctly, he doesn't even fly in it that well. It's like he's still figuring out how to be Batman in that movie. Pull through. Lord, I'm trying. I know you know the cure for hiccups. Hit me with it, Frey. I've heard like 32 today, and I'm willing to add a 33rd to it. I'm always willing to try something new, man. I'll tell you that much. I'm gonna have to go get a drink of water. I just know two ways about it. Damn it. Ugh. Whatever. I got me a drink, but it didn't help. One time my brother had the hiccups and I pretended I was going to crash the car. Cured him. So what you're telling me is that I should go play chicken with the highway, and the adrenaline burst from that will cure my hiccups. I do think that would probably cure my hiccups, but I think my clumsy ass would probably end up getting splattered like a little pancake in the process. Just suck a flesh lollipop. It works wonders. Has a creamy center. I don't just have a cock on demand, man. My partner is like a cis woman. Yeah, Skinamarink is pretty scary if you're terrified of ceilings and random household objects. I can't say that I am. I can't say that I really can't say that I am, though. Cinnamorink sounds like cinema roll. Cinema roll. Dude, I'm going to punch myself in the face right now. Only when I want to say something. I should start timing it so I can just like plan for the stops. There we go. I managed to do that one okay. All right, so I'm beginning to get a generally good, there we go, good sense of when I'm going to have to hiccup. So I think that means I can, yep, there we go. All right, let's see. I should have about this many, oh shit, I'm getting better. I should have about this, just this many words left. All right, I think I should have about this many words left to speak with if I'm not There we go. See what I mean? All right, I can work with this. Didn't your brother throw up in a restaurant because of the hiccups? Oh my god, man. It sounds like Scotty's got a fucking... dude, does Scotty also have a problem with hiccups often? Because if so, man, I'm so fucking glad to know I'm not alone, because I feel like I'd be getting hiccups all the motherfucking time, at least compared to other people I know, because I literally have not seen, I've seen my partner get hiccups one time since we've been together. I've had them 5 times just today. And on a bad hiccups day, I will have them literally all day. Yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty much appreciated at this point, Jessica. I mean, it's, it's your thing, yeah. I don't think you're making anybody uncomfortable, but if you start to make me uncomfortable, I'll let you know. Sure would be nice if I could hit my vape without like fucking up the hit from a hiccup. Absolute terror was the answer to what cures hiccups, and I do agree that probably would work. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get off here because I can't fucking stand to try and talk through hiccups, because it just feels like a pointless exercise. because I know for a fact that I just can't get through a fucking sentence. So, anyway, I haven't had hiccups in like a decade, I think. Ugh! Oh, God, I'm so jealous. Ah! So jealous of people that have that going on for them. Man, fuck these hiccups. I hate it here. Anyway, thanks to everybody who showed up for the stream. I think it's really poignant that it started with hiccups and it's ending with hiccups. Thanks to everybody who maybe tomorrow, but I might take a day. I might take a night off tomorrow. Anyway, good night, y'all.